Listeners, we are live.
Welcome to the Undercard Supercast for April 10th, 2014. I am your host, founder, editor, and ultimate warrior griever of Undercard Superstar, Luke Irwin. Joining us momentarily, you'll never guess this, guys, but a New York Jew is in Miami, Ben Cohn. Don't call it a comeback. We forgot he ever worked here. Connor Dillon. You may refer to him by his prison nickname, Fresh Carp, Dan Galvan. He's picking Fred Couples to win the Masters for the 32nd straight year, Josh Hall. Lastly, he holds his high school's record for volume and consistency of getting his books dumped, Nolan Howell. Let's get cracking, boys. Dateline, San Francisco, California, where Jake Shields will be spending some quality time for a while. Shields was released by the UFC on Monday. Guys, what do you think of the move, and where do you think Shields goes from here? Mr. Dillon.
Personally, myself, I think the move was kind of, hasty on the UFC's part, but I understand why they did it. I'm not forgiving them, but I understand why. And where I see him ending up, I see either WSOF or ONE FC making a play for him. Personally, I would love to watch a Ben Askren Jake Shields fight. That sounds bad, but I would love to watch it.
Daniel.
I think it's a weird thing for the UFC to do. I understand that Jake Shields is a quote-unquote boring fighter, or perceived to be one. But if you're the UFC, I think it looks bad on you that you get rid of a guy who just, recently beat Tyron Woodley, a fighter that's going to contend for a title in short order. For Jake Shields, I mean, he's a top 10, top 12 welterweight, and a promotion like the UFC, I'm sure they could afford to put him on cards, and at least I just don't get the move here. It's kind of bad PR. But I do see, he's 35 years old. He does have the tag as a boring fighter. I just don't understand. I think the UFC would be able to keep a guy like that. But when they do things like this, they get the negative reaction. Oh, it's all about entertainment, which it is. But if you're the UFC, I think you want to fool people into thinking it's a sport. As far as where I think he'll sign, I doubt Bellator signs him. They haven't really. I would expect probably him to go to either World Series of Fighting or maybe ONE FC.
Joshua.
Yeah, obviously, you know me, I'm not going to like this cut. I felt the same way when they cut Fitch, when they cut Okami. Cutting guys who are legitimate, no question, top 15 in their weight class, veterans, is just a terrible thing to me. It's just not good for the sport. And that it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, especially when you're talking about, booking a fight like Rousey and Carano, which we'll get into in a little bit. But when you're in the same week, you're cutting a guy like Jake Shields, and then you're talking about putting on a title fight like that. And it's crossing that line between spectacle and sport for me right now. And I would like to see them stop going in that direction, but I don't expect them to anytime soon.
I find this cut, bad, a lot less egregious than cutting Okami and also not signing Askren. I think this cut is a lot less worse than both of those. There are, Jake Shields is a fine fighter, but there are a lot of red flags up in play. He was making a ton of money relative to his overall standing within the company. $120,000 for Jake Shields is a lot of money. Secondly, listen, his fight style is not good, but it doesn't matter if you win. But I think Ben Askren is not a boring fighter because Ben Askren can be utterly dominant. How many strikes did they say that Shields ended up actually landing against Lombard his last fight? Wasn't it 6 the entire fight or something like that?
Something like that. It wasn't anything worth counting.
It was an atrocious performance, and besides that, you have the eye poking, you have the unfair as it may be, guilty by association when you're in the same camp as the Diaz's and Melendez. Dana showed in the past with AKA that you can be guilty by association. Also, the red flags, the drug suspension, or there's just a lot. There's a lot to not like about Jake Shields, both in the cage and out of it. I don't care for him, but I don't want to see bad talent go to waste. As far as where Shields goes, I honestly think he might be done as a professional fighter. Listen, if Ben Askren could not get a job in all of North America with his pedigree and his style and his undefeated record and his age and youth and charisma on his side, Shields has none of that. And he's, like I said, much more expensive. I'm guessing. I don't think Askren would ask for more than $120 a fight. And like I said, he does have age against him. He has, drug suspension. Like I said, he does have, the whole Diaz bad name behind him. He's a little dirty. He's kind of a douche. I don't know. I think that he might be done, and maybe just go into either coaching or maybe go the Metamoris route and go into competitive grappling. Nolan?
I like your Metamorphosis idea. I think that'd be kind of cool considering how he's done fairly well for himself at Abu Dhabi before, but that isn't going to pay the bills completely. So I could see him staying away from Bellator. That makes a bit more sense. I think ONE FC or World Series of Fighting would back up the truck for him. They like having those kind of guys there, especially considering Jake Shields versus Ben Askren's a big fight you can put on in that promotion. So I think that's a couple possible destinations. And as far as the cut, I don't agree with it, but the UFC's unspoken agreement to be for the stand and bang style of fighting, and Jake Shields is quote unquote boring. He's lost his last couple. He's quote unquote expensive. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but at the same time, he's still one of the top welterweights in the UFC. I mean, at least top 10, top 15. He could nuke everyone else, and he could still hang with some of the top 10, top 15 guys. So he deserves to be there. But UFC gonna UFC. I guess they want to make room for all these Australian tough guys and Chinese quote unquote prospects and all this silliness. I don't really understand it, but hey, that's MMA for you.
Dateline, Las Vegas, Nevada, home of the Death Star, known as the UFC headquarters, where head lunatic in charge Dana White says Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano is, quote, closer than you think, end quote. Connor, is it?
I think he's a dumbass.
Is he?
Not answer the question whatsoever, Connor.
So, honestly, I feel like they would throw enough money at Gina Carano to do it, and I know for a fact that Ronda Rousey doesn't, she wouldn't mind a big name, big money fight like that. Plus, I think this would get some overtures to Hollywood, believe it or not. It might bring in some more mainstream views. So I feel like, yeah, they're going to throw enough money for this shit to happen. I'm not going to like it, but I feel like it could probably happen.
Ben?
Sorry, guys.
Real quick, we're talking.
Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano. Do you think it's going to happen, and what do you think about it?
I think it'll happen as long as Carano's willing to take it for whatever they're offering. I think that it's the dumbest. It's so ridiculous. It makes no sense. It's destroying any legitimacy they have left to any of their titles at this point, because it's essentially saying you've been out for 5 years, you haven't been training. The person who everyone wants to see.
Not for all of their titles, just Ronda's.
Well, they've already, in my opinion, lost a lot of legitimacy to light heavyweight title.
The light heavyweight title.
Yeah, Chael Sonnen.
Back-to-back middleweight title.
Come on, what the hell, man?
Yeah, well, I mean, look at all the other guys he's beaten.
Welterweight, they've
what
lost
about welterweight?
Nick Diaz.
Nick Diaz?
What the hell did he do to deserve that title? Oh wait, he came off of a 1-year suspension, a 9-month suspension.
Can we get back? Let's get back on this topic.
Connor just wants to argue with me. It's been too long for him. Anyway, I don't understand what they're doing. I don't understand why they're doing this other than money. There's no other reason. They might as well come out and say, we're going to do whatever makes us the most money. We don't care about fair fights. We don't care about the legitimacy of the fight. We don't care about anything other than making as much money as possible, because that's exactly what they're proving if they try and make this fight. And that bullshit Ronda Rousey said about, if it weren't for her, I wouldn't be here. All right, there was women's MMA before Carano, and there was women's MMA after. Oh, by the way, you won your judo bronze medal before Carano was anything, so fuck you. Another reason to hate Ronda.
It was a 4th place bronze. Dan?
I think this is a case of where the UFC needs to step out of their bubble and look at this thing from a long-term perspectives. I can't even talk. And I say this because as a person that's followed the professional wrestling business or even sports, you want to make decisions that benefit you long-term and also short-term. And while this may be okay short-term, you'll do a big buy rate, this really hemorrhages your legitimacy long-term, putting Gina Carano in a title shot. I mean, this is a really big just a mismatch and kind of a farce if you consider yourself a sport. And I understand this is the business and whatnot, but the one thing MMA can't lose is the foundation of being a sport. Because once that foundation is destroyed, no one's going to watch it. It needs the foundation of being a sport.
They said the same thing about professional wrestling, bro.
I don't agree with that statement. But once you have the foundation of a sport and it's built upon, then you can build upon the entertainment. Putting Gina Carano has no resemblance of a sporting, anything resembling that. So I think it's really bad long term, and even short term. You walk up to somebody on the street, you talk about this fight. Within a few seconds, you're talking about how big of a mismatch it is.
Josh?
I mean, for a title fight, it's a ridiculous booking. Carano hasn't won a fight since 2008. It's atrocious. At the same time, honestly, I don't know if the UFC can put on another fight right now that they can actually book. Aside from like some hypothetical super fights that will never happen.
They can't put on any fight that they can book. Period. Sorry, sorry for interrupting you. It was just that you said there wasn't any fight available. All the other fights that were available, they couldn't book. Or it's not book, promote. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying. If I can't think of another 2 fighters that they have on their roster, they can actually get in the cage this year that will outdraw this fight, and that's a big problem for the UFC. And I think that's more the thing here than really how important or how degrading to the title that this matchup would be, is the fact that you have a fighter who hasn't stepped in a ring or a cage in 5 years, is coming off a loss, and putting her in there will probably draw a better buy rate than any other fighter you can put out there. That tells me that the UFC's promotion has gone so far askew that it's just absurd. And with the way the buy rate has been, I understand why they would do this. If they were going to do it, I'd rather see it at a catch weight, a la like Matt Hughes, Royce Gracie. I would not have a problem with that because then you're more of just admitting this is a spectacle that people want to see, and so we're putting it on. Making it for the title, though, it's no good.
But if they fight at a catchweight, how does Ronda avoid any backlash she might have for not fighting Cyborg at a catchweight?
Cyborg gave her the out by fighting Jory Navarez and losing. She can very realistically say.
Yeah, but
she said when she took a fight against a fighter who does not have any name recognition except amongst the most hardcore of hardcore fans, and then got beaten in a fight that everybody has seen, she killed a lot of her marketability, and I don't know why she took that fight. She made an awful business decision right there. But if you're sitting there as Rousey right now, a whole lot of luster is taken off of that potential matchup. And so if Cyborg comes back into MMA, slaughters an opponent or two, then by all means you get that fight booked. But the timing on it right now, Cyborg killed it.
Not to mention, one second, I'm sorry. I just want to mention that we're also having I don't know if anyone's brought it up, but Gina had a hard time making 145. The hell is she going to make 135? She hasn't made it since her first fight of her career.
Yeah, I was going to point that out.
I've heard that she's been walking around smaller, but that's just anecdotal evidence. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, and I don't know that she can make 35.
BJ as motivated as he's ever been.
Even saying that she's walking around 135, again, that may be more of a cosmetic look, because of acting, not necessarily a healthy 135. That just might be. Also, Josh, but Ronda turned down the Cyborg catchweight fight well before Cyborg's Lion fight title fight.
Yeah, but this fight will make her a trainload more money. I'm not saying there's anything right about it, but she's trying to make what?
But will it really?
Gina's always been the biggest draw in women's MMA. There's never any question about that.
But how long ago was that? Is she still a draw?
When you hear people
compared to the alternatives.
Yes, compared to the alternatives, which are very thin right now. And
I don't know. A lot of MMA fans, I think that they can garner a good 300,000, 325 from a Cyborg versus Ronda fight easily.
Yeah, why would the UFC risk losing one of their big champions for a 300,000 buy rate card, though?
I think
for them, risk assessment, they're not going to do that.
But I don't think they're going to do that.
Is a different issue, but from a practical perspective, there's no way they're doing that.
But do you really think that Carano can get anything more than 300,000 with Rousey?
Yes.
Rousey's base is about 2 to 250, right?
No, Rousey hasn't been below 3.
Rousey has not been below 3.
It was like 3 1/4 for the Stann fight. They didn't promote it all.
So I actually think that So I think that if they promoted Cyborg versus Rousey, I'd put it as high as 425.
I think they could they could pull close to $500,000 with Cyborg, but I think they could pull 600 to 750 with Gina.
I disagree. I don't think Gina has the buy rate.
The casual fans will tune in for that fight more than they'll tune in for any other champion you can put on a card. It's sad, but it's true.
I don't know, man.
Just a couple quick thoughts. Number one, right now, in the Rousey Cyborg PR battle, Rousey has the upper hand. Cyborg's ass is on the canvas. Ronda has all the momentum and all the leverage right now. If Ronda accepts a catchweight, the public perception and all the ammunition goes back at Cyborg.
But they said that there won't be a catchweight. They said it only happens for the title.
It has to, because if she does accept a catchweight with Carano, again, and Josh, you brought up the idea of a catchweight, was that if that happens, then all of a sudden Cyborg gets a Hail Mary of a PR break by saying, "Why'd you accept him with her and not with me? Why are you ducking me?" So Rousey, Rousey and smart PR moves aren't exactly hand in hand, but this needs to be for the title. She threw down the gauntlet at Cyborg. No, make 135, and to concede that for Carano would look horribly on her.
I agree.
Number dos is that I don't trust the UFC's marketing for any fight. I don't. No. They've been so awful at promotion. They want to promote Rousey. They had 2 Olympic medalists fighting for the first time ever during the Olympics, and they didn't sink a dime into marketing. It was atrocious. It was abysmal. I don't trust their marketing whatsoever at all. I don't trust their star making. And I think the fact that they've failed to build a lot of new stars out of the women's bantamweight division means that there are desperate moves that they feel they have to make, i.e. Gina Carano. Will it will it pop? Yeah. But it's spectacle. Carano is not going to do well. I don't know, about what her walk around weight is. She's an actress. She's a performer. I don't know if I don't even know if she's lost muscle mass, even though she's an action hero, or whether it's popcorn muscles. There's just so much to where if you're not training and you've been out of athletic competition in general for 5-6 years, you don't know how's your body going to hold up. I hate it. I hate the idea of it. But again, I don't know. The booking and the promoting has been so bad that I don't know who would even really be on the way up to be able to compete. I mean, injuries have obviously played a big part, in knocking down a lot of contenders. But it's just not there. And if they want Rousey to stay active, there's not a lot of available names.
Do you book Alexis Davis? I mean, I know Kat Zingano should be next in line, but I just don't know if you can put her in there. And I don't know if it's fair to her to throw her to Rousey right now with the injury and then the stuff in her personal life.
I think they're going to throw Zingano at Rousey right away, and they'll do anything. Anything.
That's what I was saying is, with proper promotion, which of course they haven't done, and then you have injuries to, well, not injuries, but Andrade should not put on a great fight, and then injuries to Kat and injuries to Juliana Pena. I mean, it's really, you have Andrade coming off of a split decision, and you have Davis, and Coffin sure as hell isn't getting another round in there. Tate sure as hell isn't. Liz is too inconsistent. I mean, if she really finished, but it's too early to have rematches already.
Davis just about killed each other as challengers with their fight that nobody won clearly. They really needed a definitive winner out of that fight to have another good contender, and they destroyed that.
Davis is going to have to fight another fight for sure.
I don't like it. I really don't. I never say never in this business, but I would really be perturbed if this fight happened. Even if Carano is somebody who might have a chance of defeating Rousey, she won't, and it's just going to get anybody nowhere. And then she goes and disappears back to Hollywood, and then what the hell are we left with? What, an extra 100,000 buys at the cost of the future of the sport and legitimacy? Fuck that.
They dropped $3 million on Rousey to do the job.
Now, guys, I have a wacky theory here, and I was talking about it in the comments here. But say that they know Carano's not going to make 135.
Thermite paint.
Thermite paint. But think about, the UFC recognizes that Carano probably won't make 135. But they go ahead with the fight. She weighs in at like 140. She can't cut the rest of the weight. And so she pays a fine. And they put on the fight, and they still have good buy rates. And it doesn't look like they put on a catch weight, even though that's what it would have become.
I think it would lose buys if it wasn't for the title.
Are you sure? Because then they have Rousey.
Fans have been waiting 5 years for Gina to come back. I don't think they're going to care if it's for a belt or not.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's been waiting.
But again, how many casual fans really remember Gina Carano?
It would look Bush.
Surprising amount.
It would look Bushly.
I doubt it.
And if Gina somehow pulls out a win, they'll say it was just because of the weight difference. It doesn't do anybody. I mean, they'll put it on, but it'll look Bush, and it'll look trashy.
I know, but the thing is that would cover them in regards to accepting a catch weight bout with Cyborg. Because they were
then they put the onus back on Gina and deflect it from themselves.
Exactly.
I don't know if they would try, but I don't think what the UFC is smart enough to pull that off.
I can't see. There's too many mouths and ears that would have to be kept close to this.
Mm-hmm. I don't see it happening. Not with the UFC, man. No way.
No,
not smart.
I personally don't think Carano moves the needle as in any way more significantly than Cyborg. Maybe there's an extra, maybe there's a couple more buys, but I personally don't think Carano, who really after Haywire has done nothing.
It's probably a reason why she's willing to come back.
Yeah, the most I've seen of Carano's quote-unquote Hollywood career is a bit part on, I think, Criminal Minds or something, and even that wasn't picked up by MMA media for the most part. So, I mean, maybe it will sell more when two people see him and say, oh, man, basically let's call it what it is. It's a hot chick fight. People think that both these women are attractive, and that's probably why they'll buy it. I think you could, if they were willing to put any marketing in it, which they aren't, I think Cyborg could be equally as effective. To me, you can play a Muay Thai loss off like you can play Abu Dhabi Combat Championship loss. You can do that. I don't think casuals are going to care. I mean, really, it's baffling from a sporting perspective. Business perspective, sure. I don't really think Carano draws that much more than Cyborg, but maybe we'll get a chance to see that. It's just UFC at its latest fad, trying to make the quick buck. They think they've dropped off from their highest peak.
UFC is
You know.
they're dime smart, dollar dumb. They have been for some time. Dateline, Stockton,
If I
California.
have to say one thing though,
Why stop now?
sorry. No, I'm gonna put if they do the fight and Carano's gonna be probably plus 2,000, I'll throw like $10 on it, just for the hell of it. On the off chance she catches her with a knee or something.
I'm gonna catch you with it.
Yeah.
Dateline, Stockton, California, where its de facto mayor wants a cool $500,000 to fight Hector Lombard. Ben, would you give Nick Diaz $500,000 to fight Hector Lombard?
No, 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 no.
Just spend on
I
internet
have nothing more
connection.
to add to that at the moment. But seriously, there's no reason to give him. There's no reason to give it to him. I don't understand it. I mean, the guy's retired. Let him stay retired and only be in the media to make outrageous claims and annoying statements.
Connor?
So I wouldn't give him 500. I wouldn't give him half mil. I would up his deal though, so he matches Hector Lombard in regards to amount. His last disclosed pay was what, 200?
Yes, last disclosed pay was 143. Who, Lombard or Diaz?
Diaz.
200 at 143 against Diaz.
Okay, and so Lombard is at 300, and so I would up his deal there and maybe sweeten the pay-per-view points, but I would not give him 500. That's just too much.
Especially when Hendricks is not making anywhere near that.
Yeah.
What a sophisticated sport we are fans of, where an athlete is going to Twitter or whatever to demand contract numbers. Like, imagine if Alex Max, like, I won 6 years, 54 million Browns on Twitter. It's weird. But, I mean, listen, Nick Diaz has one of the best managers in the game in Mike Hogan, right, guys?
Cool.
I just, listen, I'm all for fighters getting their money, man. Get that money. At $500,000 sounds like a lot for Nate Diaz. If I'm the UFC, I think I really harp home the pay-per-view percentages. I think that's kind of what I would market towards, just because I'm sure Nick Diaz thinks highly of himself as a pay-per-view draw. So why don't you use that as an incentive to get him signed rather than a base pay?
You think they would use Diaz Lombard as a pay-per-view headliner?
No way.
Definitely not. But I'm sure the idea is to sign him to a long-term contract, a multiple fight contract. So down the line, and I'm sure co-main event guys do get pay-per-view money. Some do.
Yeah.
I would assume.
But a multiple fight contract, he doesn't have to honor it if he retires.
Yeah, well, either way, like as a co-main event, you can still get that percentage, whatever that would be. I think that's the way to get at Diaz, but I would be flabbergasted if he got a $500,000 deal. That just, when you look at the numbers right now, it doesn't seem realistic. But I'm all for fighters getting that money, but I don't see it happening.
4th of July card still needs a co-main. I'm not saying. Well, no, actually, no, they don't. No, they have Chael and Vanderlei.
No, they still need a co-main.
No, that's going to be the come-in probably.
How dare you, Dan Galvan?
And
How
DC
dare you.
Hendo also was.
Right.
Like-
Well, 174 has Rory and Woodley, but if they want to put Diaz Lombard in there as the 3, I think that would be fun. But again, that might not be enough training time. Josh?
Yeah, I'm all for better fighter pay. That's something that I push for every chance I get. But Diaz has got to understand that he's gone about this in every possible wrong way. Like, there's nothing he could do to make his situation worse than what he's already done. Talking about he'd rather go work at Walmart than getting $500,000. If the UFC won't give him $500,000 a fight. Wait, that's like the people that cheer for somebody like Nick Diaz. Saying garbage like that is going to turn even his hardcore fans away from him. Like, yeah, because you're showing such a disconnect with reality when you think that working at Walmart would be better than getting paid $200,000 to fight from the UFC. It's just a ridiculous sentiment. And asking for your specific dollar amount pretty much guarantees when you do it in public, you're not getting that because there's no way the UFC is going to bend to his will after he made it this big public show. If he wanted $500,000, he either should have asked for a bigger amount or he's smarter than I'm giving him credit for and he's willing to take a small renegotiation and he's throwing that big number out there just to get them to come up some. But I don't see any reason that they would give him that kind of money. He's never proven that he moves the needle like that aside from when he's fighting George St. Pierre, and he's not going to be fighting him anytime soon.
God willing.
What's the most they've ever given in show money? $600 for Anderson?
Who?
I think they've given $600 to Anderson show money, no?
I'm honestly not sure on that.
Who are you talking about?
The most they've ever
The
paid.
most highest
just
money
show,
that
yeah.
paid out in a single
I
fight.
think it was $600 to Anderson, no?
Orc?
No, I don't think. Brock made $400 to show.
What about Chuck?
No way.
I think Chuck's money was coming from points mainly.
I think
Yeah.
this would be hysterical if they use Shield's salary to up Diaz's. I think that'd be pretty funny. Is Nick Diaz worth $500,000? No, he's not.
No.
His last base pay was $200. If Lombard really is making $3, then I have no problem taking him up to $3 with concessions. I'm talking $300 to show, no bonus, obviously. With concessions. And again, the problem with signing Nick Diaz to a multi-fight contract is that you have Nick Diaz on your contract for multi-fights. And he's unreliable enough trying to get one fight past him. Who the hell knows what kind of weirdness he'll pull again. I don't think they need to. I think if they want to go out with the old and in with the new of the welterweight division, St. Pierre's gone, Diaz is gone. Obviously from a while, Hughes is gone. BJ's nothing. I think you can really. There's something to that. They can push Hendricks. They can push some of the young guys coming up. But if they're hell bent on giving Nick Diaz a contract, the fact they're still entertaining him is. But I would go as high as $3 because that's what Lombard's making, and I think that'd be fair. Lombard does not deserve to be making more than Nick Diaz, but no higher than that. And we're talking right at $300,000, and certainly no concessions above that. I don't think. Nolan.
I mean, I personally love Diaz. I would pay him, if whatever. But he probably he doesn't deserve that at this stage. He deserves more than Lombard, I would say, and maybe you can sell him on that and say, hey, he's making $300 and you can make $400, or if you're willing to extend the buck, $500, whatever. I agree with Dan's sentiment that maybe they should try the pay-per-view points route or try to sell him on something else. That said, while I agree with Diaz's negotiation idea, his way of going about it has been pretty Diaz overall. So, I don't really know what to make of the situation. I think he could be a fair draw if they bring him back. At least generate some extra intrigue around a Hendricks fight because we don't know exactly how much Hendricks draws overall. But it's too much risk for what could be a decent reward, but you never know when it's going to pan out. So more fighter pay, sure, but I just really don't care. I don't care too much about it.
All right, lastly, Dateline Lost Instant Derby. Besides being the name of my town in Minecraft, it's a conglomeration of the settings of the 3 biggest cards of the weekend: Pacquiao Bradley, UFC in Abu Dhabi, and Glory 15. I want your top 3 fights in total from these 3 cards, any order, any combination of any of the 3 cards that you're looking forward to the most this weekend. Ben?
Sorry, someone else, please, just really quickly. Sorry.
Dan?
This Manny Pacquiao fellow and this Timothy Bradley fellow had a really memorable clash last time, I believe. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing the rematch. I think that's the no-brainer, number one. That's the fight that's going to generate a lot of the buzz from the combat sports side of things. Glory has a lot of great fights, and I'll let you guys touch on those. So the other 2 slots, I look at that UFC card, which for an Abu Dhabi card is okay. I wouldn't call it bad just when you look at Jim Ehlers is the first fight off the card, and he's a really interesting prospect out of Cage Warriors, I believe. So I'm looking forward to seeing him fight. And the one fight that sticks out to me is the Clay Guida Kawajiri fight. That's one that I really didn't think we would ever see, and now we get to see it, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think that's probably your favorite for fight of the night. If the big Roy Nelson fight, gets past the first round, I think that could also be good. But I think Guida Kawajiri is just all kinds of awesome.
Josh?
I'm sorry, my brain is bleeding after I just heard Clay Guida and awesome used in the same sentence.
Listen, this is the turning of the page of Guida. Listen, mark my words, this is fight of the night.
Clay Guida.
You're on the record with that, Dan. We've got it on video. Don't worry.
When he gets his ass kicked, he's fantastic.
Yeah. He's going to get a nice massage in Abu Dhabi.
Fighting fighter in the world when he's
going to get a nice massage in Abu Dhabi. His spare's going to be free, and he's going to put on a fight of the night. Just you watch.
Okay, well, anyway, moving on to reality.
Josh.
If I'm going to pick a fight from the fight night card, I'm actually kind of interested in the John Howard-Ryan LaFlair fight. That's going to be a lot of fun, I think. And Howard he's got to be one of the most underrated guys in the company. Like, he gives everybody a tough fight, and I think he might be a little too much for LaFlair right now, but I think that's actually going to be a lot of action.
I'm the John Howard guy.
If we're going to the Glory card, I know that I'll save you what you want to talk about, Luke, and I'll drop the Van Roosmalen and Gregorian fight.
You're too kind.
Basically because I love Robert Van Roosmalen with all of my being, and that's just going to be just balls to the wall, bombs thrown, and I can't wait. And I mean, yeah, Pacquiao, Bradley. That's if you're not interested in that fight, then you probably aren't watching combat sports very much, or you just really don't like boxing.
No, just fuck you.
Number three on mine are going to be Clay Guida against Crusher. Not for anything Clay Guida, but because Crusher goddamn Kawajiri in the UFC at a reasonable hour. And I like Clay. Clay's a fine dude. He's a good dude, but I want to see Crusher put him to sleep.
Okay.
I loves me the Kawajiri. Number 2, Pacquiao Bradley. Of course, you have to. It's going to be. I watched Bradley Provodnikov probably 5 times in the last couple weeks leading up to it. I really like what Tim has. I think he's going to improve. He's going to lose, I think, which should be the right call. As was the first time.
Should have been the right call. Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to that. And number 1 is not a fight that's booked right now, but it's a fight that in the tournament, if both fighters win, we will see. Which is the very real possibility that in Glory 15, the light heavyweight championship will be decided between Tyrone Spong and Gokhan Saki, which, for our non-kickboxing watching comrades, this is like Junior Dos Santos against John Jones. This fight, if it happens, is enormous. I cannot stress that enough, and will be an absolute test of just crushing, punching in combinations and brute force. I'm going to be so thrilled that this fight actually happens, which, again, this is not, a Cinderella team trying to make it to the national title. All they need to do is get by Nathan Corbett and Saulo Cavalieri, which I don't even know they have Spong up against Cavalieri, which is yay.
Corbett's going to be a tough fight, though. Corbett's good, really good.
Corbett and Spong have history, but
Spong took that left hook.
Gokhan's just so much better than Corbett everywhere, though. It's an awful matchup.
Gokhan's fighting at light heavyweight. Gokhan is going to be a monster. This is like Kane fighting at light heavyweight. A small damaging heavyweight that decides to drop on a whim. It's going to be absurd, and I cannot wait. Nolan?
My number 1 fight is the number 1 sport in the world right now, boxing. Manny Pacquiao versus Tim Bradley 2.
Pacquiao's fighting in MMA.
Tim Bradley's.
Where's your goddamn
What?
Ben?
No one's selling. Act like he's not here.
It's all right.
Oh, I was just gonna go Ben Cohn sell him. What? Anyway, Tim Bradley's made some great strides since his last fight with Pacquiao. He looked really slick against Marquez, and he definitely fought down to Provodnikov's level, but he was able to beat him brawling, and that's a testament to how great Tim Bradley is. I think Pacquiao's still going to be a little slick, too slick for him, and I think he'll take it, but that's still going to be an absolute barn burner of technique, and that's my number 1 fight of the week. Number 2, I guess I'll agree with Luke. In the Spong-Saki potential showdown, I'm not a big kickboxing guy, but that fight definitely brings a stirring to my loins as a combat sports fan. And 3, I guess I'll go with Kawajiri Guida. I think that'll be a fun fight. Guida's very active, speed-wise, and Kawajiri is very slow but very powerful. So I think it'll be a good styles clash there, and I see Kawajiri taking him down and murdering him for 3 rounds.
I love the styles clash, Nolan.
All right.
I wish you would take one on your neck.
Benjamin?
Yeah. So my number 1 fight's going to be actually Pacquiao and Bradley. For all the previous reasons that have been said, it's going to be amazing. Number 2 has also been mentioned, Spong-Saki possibility, which will most likely happen. But number 3 is the one that nobody's mentioned, and I'm bringing it up because I really think that this has the potential to be a fantastic performance. Either one of these
don't say it.
He's going to say
it.
Johnny Bedford and Ronda Yaya.
Oh.
He's not going to say it.
It's classic Cone sword.
Actually, that was the last one I didn't add, so very nice.
So the reason why is because it goes one of 2 ways. Yaya is an incredible submission grappler, but he lacks the strength and wrestling to get down many of his opponents. Johnny Bedford is a monster when he's on. When he's on, he will hurt his opponent. Go watch his God Enough fights. It's literally brutal, which is his nickname. The problem is he's really not good with submission defense, as 9 of his 10 losses have been by submission. So we're going to see one of 2 things. Yaya can't take Johnny Bedford down, and Johnny just roughs him up and just absolutely demolishes him on the feet. Or we see Ronnie Yaya somehow get Bedford down and see a slick, gorgeous submission, which is what Yaya thrives with. And I can't wait for it. It's a classic. It's not a classic striker grappling match because Bedford is a fantastic ground and pound fighter, but I can't wait for this fight. I want to see it. I really want to see that fight.
Yaya was also a decent third baseman in the Sandlot. And that will do it for us today. The 20th anniversary of the Sandlot was just a couple days ago. Timely, boys. That's how you do broadcasting. That will do it for us today. Enjoy all the lush treasures that combat sports have to offer you this weekend, and we will see you next week. Thank you for watching.